Wiktor Szopa, a first-year student of management. Yeah? Sorry.
Okay, hello. So nice to meet you, and thank you for that you have come here, and you want to hear me. And today I'm going to talk about about happiness. And happiness, I mean the long-term satisfaction from within life. Yeah, and this is called happiness in my definition, and I will try to give some tips on maybe mine, but also other theory about that achieving of that happiness. Yeah, mostly I will talk about this guy. Yeah, this guy was Epicurus. He was born at 3041 before Common Era. He was born on the island Samos. This is the same island that Pythagoras was born, for example. And when he was 8 years old, he moved to Athens to learn philosophy, but not because he was a nerd some of kind or something like that, but because philosophy back then was some kind of education for upper classes, and that's why he was learning philosophy, and he was learning that philosophy under the student of Democritus. And Democritus was that guy from atomism. Maybe you can remind yourself. And because he was a Greek, he tended to talk about his philosophy from and trying to gather some knowledge from that theory about atomism. Yeah, and his main rules or ideas, we can say, were that the joy is a lack of pain, and also that life is a joy by itself. It will make more sense later. Also, he had other 4 key rules in how to achieve happiness, and these were, for example, that we shouldn't feel God or gods. And why is that? Because the world is made of atoms, and because of that, gods don't have to intervene in our world, because everything is clear and okay because atoms. Mostly, that was the argument. Also, the other rule that we shouldn't feel death. And why is that? Because if there is death, then there is no us. If there is no us, there is no death. Actually, if we are, there is no death. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's interesting thing for me. And another two were that what is good is easy to get. And what he meant by that was that that he called for efficiency, as we called it. Also, Da Vinci, for example, was talking about that simplicity is a virtue, and it is that the same thought. That good things are usually also quite easy things in personal life, and doesn't mean I don't mean that complicated things are bad, but that we should try to follow simpler actions, yeah, or something like that. Also, the last one, that what is terrible is also easy to endure. What he meant for that was that when, for example, pain is terrible, it also tend to last shortly, and because of that, we should try to ignore or endure that pain, because we know that it will be short. Yeah, but enough about this guy. I will continue his thought. Mostly, he was also talking about this cycle, and this cycle is cycle of needs and fulfillment. And what does it mean? So, we know everyone from us there, also me, also you probably, have some needs, and every need demands fulfillment, as we can see. The problem is that every fulfillment also creates another need. And what I mean that, for example, we feel need to have a new car. We want to buy a new car. And when we buy this car, while trying to achieve this car, we think when we get this car, we will finally be happy. But spoiler alert, the car won't solve all your problems in your life probably. And because of that, when you got that car, you will try to get another car or yacht or anything like that. I mean, in material sense. Another thing that our surroundings also tend to create another needs. And what I mean, for example, advertisements are literally made for that, to make you feel need to buy something. For example, also our culture, also our even language tends to focus on some things and ignore another. And he was just asking, is it good? Are we happy in this cycle or something like that? Spoiler alert, he didn't mean that. I mean, he was arguing that we are not happy in the cycle. He saw us some kind of like Sisyphus, but not in the sense that Sisyphus is happy, but rather that he's unhappy in that sense. And how can the person can achieve finally this happiness if not by trying to fulfill all his needs? Well, partially he still needs to do it, because when he can fulfill his need, he also can try to stop creating another need. And that was the thing that he was arguing about. Yeah, and his fundament about his way of thought was that the life is a joy in itself. What he meant by that was that when I have everything all right, I will be happy then, because life is usually fine if nothing is bothering me. But yeah, about that bothering things, how can we try to break this cycle and try to find a way to stop finding things that are bothering us? Yeah, and he had 3 solutions, as we may call it. And these things were ataraxia, we can call it a peace of mind. We can see that it's aponia, which is peace of flesh, or also the last one that this is the final break, limit our needs. And what does it mean? So let's start from ataraxia. Ataraxia is the state when there's nothing that is bothering us, that we are not thinking about tomorrow, that I have a test, for example. I can be happy when I have a test and I'm thinking about the test and not about the things that I really like, for example. Yeah, also the yesterday things that I made something uncool, not really fun or something like that is also can bother me. Also, the other thing, that we can be happy only when we live in the present. And what does it mean? Because we can hear that from monks, for example, or any Asian religion or theory or something like that, but no one really knows what does it mean. So let me explain it that way. So let's imagine that you are in the club, or even if you don't like being in the people, you are alone in your home. And you try to play the music, and you start hearing that music, and you can close your eyes and try to synchronize with the music. You try to dance and trying to, just have fun with that music. And this is living in the present. Yeah, that I don't think about tomorrow, what will be for example, my next move, or I will not think about the test will have tomorrow, or what I did yesterday, or something like that. But I'm just focusing on that dancing. And this is living in present, I'm sorry. And only when, it is try to expand it at a whole life. This mean that we should live in the present. Well, that was the thing he meant. Okay, we have ataraxia, we understand that, so let's go to aponia. And aponia is the piece of flesh. And obviously, when, for example, I will break my arm, I won't be happy because guess what? My arm is pretty painful right now. I feel bad pain, and because of that pain, I can focus on living life, and something like that. And also when our physical needs are met, that when I'm not hungry, when I'm not thirsty, or something like that, only then I can focus on enjoying life. And only when I have this aponia and ataraxia, as a fun fact, I can say that if we have aponia and ataraxia, we have ataraxia, and it means both. that's quite strange, but nevertheless. And the last golden break of that cycle, that we should limit our needs. We try to limit our needs because only then we will break this cycle. Now, for example, when I buy this new car, I can, instead of thinking about another car or another thing I will try to achieve, I can start to enjoy this new car, for example. And this is living in the present, for example, because I'm riding and I don't think about something, but except trying not to kill anyone around me, but I'm seizing that pleasure in that sense. Another thing, we should try to find efficiency in our happiness. That we, for example, when I have a book, and I have, for example, going out with someone, and I consider these two things as both enjoyable for me, I should choose the thing that requires from me less effort. Yeah, and for everyone it will be a little bit different, because for someone going outside is a bit harder, and for other one is trying to it is hard to read the book, for example, and it's not a bad thing in any other way. Anyway, sorry. Another thing that we should try to throw away from our head, that we need to consume to enjoying something. For example, I can enjoy life by just walking. I don't need to consume something to enjoying things or life in that example. And by starting that way of thinking, we should try to ask ourselves why we're trying to buy something or consume something, that ask ourselves, do I really need this? No, sorry, do I really need this? It's a good start. Okay, great. But there's an elephant in the room, that we have other things in our head that is blocking us from achieving happiness, just being happy in our life. For example, that we may feel that when we are enjoying something, we are not gaining. That pleasure means that there's no gain, or even in other way, that pain means gain, as we can say there. And for example, do I gain anything if I break my arm? I think I'm not gaining anything, but I still think pain. Also, can I gain something without pain? I can say, for example, I gained some knowledge while I was playing Minecraft, for example. I just learned what is cow, what is bird in the English, for example, but I just enjoyed myself with my friends, for example. Also, we should ask ourselves just, do we need always gaining something? Just sometimes let us go, let us rest. It's just the best thing we can do to ourselves. And in even this cynical way that because of resting, I will gain something. Either way, the rest is a good thing. And just remember that pleasure, joy is not a sin, it's a reward mostly, and the most important thing is that this is reward, and not something we should be shamed and we should be ashamed or guilt. We shouldn't feel guilt when we enjoying something. As the last question, but the thought experiment in that sense, that is, we should ask ourselves, just ask yourself, what would you do if you would have lived in utopia, for example, when you had limitless resources and you could do anything, but you wouldn't have to do anything, but you can do anything. What would you do with the time you have left? Just a thought experiment. It's not that easy as it seems at the start. That was all from me. Thank you for your attention. Carpe diem. Carpe diem. Yeah. Seize your day.
Thank you so much. And I will use a cheat code and I will ask you, what would you do with your time if you have this infinity of money?
You know, what I would do? I would probably do the same thing I'm doing right now, for example. I'm quite enjoying my life, you know, and I don't know if I need to change anything, you know. Maybe I'm starving sometimes, but no, it's not that bad. I wouldn't change my behavior in that way because I'm just satisfied what I have right now, and it's also possible because of us, for example. Thank you for that.
Daniel was first.
I once heard a thought about don't chase happiness, be anti-fragile, which means like not chasing happiness, but like trying to get that it's okay to be discomfortable. Does any of these philosophers we've been talking about, have they been considered that actually it's not good to chase happiness? You should teach yourself to be comfortable like with anti-happiness, like to be anti-fragile. Do any philosophers thought about that?
I don't know if I can understand that, but I think that is another stage of that. That when you're achieving happiness, you tend to find more time for yourself, and you mostly need to do with the time, but because most people don't like to be bored, and this is the time where you are trying to find something that will make you happy. I don't know if that is answer for my question, because I what I'm saying, I know if I understand it correctly. Okay, understand. Okay.
Okay, so live in present. What is the difference between live in present and be super crazy?
Okay, it's interesting question, but also Epicurus argued about that we should also thinking about the consequences of our action, and when something, for example, is for us right now, it will be crazy, great, or something like that, but it will have a consequence, for example, that we will suffer for the rest of our lives, for example. As example, take heroin, for example, yeah, and in that way you shouldn't take that thing, because in the end the suffering will be greater than the pleasure that you gained.
No, that's on me. I like that.
Wait, I don't know. Are you aware of the alchemic theory of the, I don't know how to say, like masterminds, calmness, duality, and everything?
Mindfulness or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay, something about that.
Because I was just wondering what appeals to you the most, like the theory of Epicurus or that alchemic theory, because they're like so different. Because that alchemic lays on suffering mostly.
Okay, about this alchemical things, I don't know if I heard, but not for me the most appealing thing in Epicurus' thought was not limiting our needs. I think it's quite refreshing thought, for me at least. It is liberating, or I should say that.
Okay. What was
Yeah. Do you think there might be a link between happiness and psychedelics?
I don't know if I can answer this question, but I think that it may help in some scenarios, yeah. And I don't know if psychedelics are necessary to be happy, but for some people may be helpful, yeah. And but I would say that you need to do a lot of things to get psychedelics, well, so you would try to find things that are enjoyable for you, and not trying to finding that psychedelics that will make you do a lot of things, yeah. I mean, by trying to buy it, for example, yeah.
Anybody else? Arsene was first.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question. Maybe you heard about the Eckhart Tolle and his knowledge he wrote down in the book, The Power of Now. It's quite interesting expanded thought about how you can concentrate on the present moment without thinking about the past and without thinking about the future. And it's actually a technique and it's a methodology how you can really concentrate on what's happening right now in this moment. And it helps you to kind of avoid the stress and hurtful thoughts and enjoy and experience happiness overall.
I unfortunately didn't hear about that, but it sounds interesting. Maybe I will try to learn it about a bit more later. But thank you for your recommendation, or I should say.
Yeah, so you are speaking about enjoyment, feeling of pleasure, but I could see on the second to last slide there was question mark from this famous hit game called League of Legends, which is for people who are not experiencing pleasure. Do you think that that's a bit on the contrary?
I did it for purpose, because there's another concept in that we can call it pleasure is pain, or something like that. And at least for me, although I think for psychological pain by playing League, I just also feel some satisfaction from it. That I can shout all over room and annoy my neighborhood and for me it's still quite a great thing. I know it's just embracing. I'm still playing that game, but yeah, but great question. Thank you for that.
And the last one.
Okay, so let me ask you just out of curiosity. You do consider yourself a happy person, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you try to, on a daily basis, do you try to live by these rules you talked about?
Of course, there is
Okay, so
some
let me ask you this. Don't you consider some of them as, I don't know, they actually remind me a little bit of this idea of happiness. Don't you consider yourself a happiness sometimes? And do you think it's something bad, or how do you look at that?
Epicureanism is some kind of hedonism, and I don't know if I can defend before that or something like that, but yeah, I think I can say I'm a bit of hedonist, but in the way, not the material way, but intellectual way, yeah? That's the pleasure from, for example, talking or exchanging ideas is the great thing for me, and in that sense, yeah, I can say I am a little bit of hedonist. Thank you too for that question.